What is up, guys? Sonduren here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly change the brakes and rotors on your Audi R8 or Audi RS4 and really any Audi or other German make vehicle that have these Brembo type brake calipers. It's going to be super simple and easy. I will show you step by step what you need to do, plus all the products that I use. Not only the products that I'm using on this vehicle in terms of what the rotors are and the brake pads, tips on how you can save a lot of money when you're doing this by yourself, and the products that I use to properly install this. If you don't have the right products, it's gonna be way harder to do this. So buy the right products, the right tools to do the job the right way and the best way. In this video, I'll show you all of those tips, but let's get started. This is my 2008 Audi R8. If you haven't already seen previous videos, I absolutely love this vehicle. It's been with me for 6 years. This is actually the first time in 6 years that I've had to go ahead and change the brakes and rotors. I've taken it to multiple track days. I've had a lot of fun with it. I put almost 25,000 kilometers on the vehicle. Now it's sitting at around 64,000 kilometers. So I'm gonna go ahead, the brake wear sensor light came on. Gonna go ahead, replace the rotors, replace the brake pads with these Hawk ceramic brake pads, highly rated and reviewed on the R8 forum. They're ceramic, they're gonna remove a lot of the brake dust that I'm dealing with. And then I'm going with OEM SHW rotors, which later in the video I'll talk about how you can get an amazing price on these rotors OEM instead of buying it from Audi for an exorbitant amount of money. So let's go, dive in. I have the R8 up on jacks. Now again, every vehicle is gonna be a little different. Find out and make sure you understand your manufacturer's jacking point. So I gone ahead, jacked up the vehicle, it's fully jacked, removed the wheels. Now we have access to the rotor. You can see the rotor here, the brake caliper. One of the first things we're gonna do is make sure we clean the area. I cleaned it already, and we're gonna start removing all these pieces, replace your parts. It's honestly super simple, so let's dive into it. So this is the caliper here. You're gonna notice that there's two pins, one pin here and one pin here. We need to remove these pins by using the punch it out here. I have a hammer. If you have a rubber hammer, that would be even better. But you're gonna punch these out. They hold a retaining bracket that's really holding the brake pads in place here. So the first thing is, let's punch these out, get these out. You're gonna notice also this clip might fly out, so just be careful for your eyes. This is gonna be out, coming out, and once we pull out this pin as well. So let's remove these. And it should come out pretty easy. Now, if you have seized pins, then put some WD-40 on it or something and let it swell for a bit. Okay, but my pins have come out well. And now what you're gonna have to do is shimmy them from the back here. So, luckily my pins are pretty greased. There you go. So one of the shims came out. See the backing plate here? This is that pin. The other pin's gonna need a little bit more of that muscle that I built at the gym. There we go. Okay, well, that came out much easier than I thought. So you have the pins out, the calipers here. Now what we're gonna do is remove two 10 mil normal socket, metric socket bolts that are here in the back. You're gonna notice them just right here. There's two of them. This is gonna release the entire caliper from the rotor. So I'm trying to get here in the back. You can see what I'm clicking at. That is the socket. So again, it's just a normal metric socket. You're gonna remove this one up here and then one down below, but just so you can see it, I'm just hitting it with the pin for you to know where it is. So this is the socket, just so you could see. So that's gonna go right in here. So we're gonna break that. Okay, well, I'm very happy that so far, I'm gonna jinx myself, none of these bolts are like rusted really badly. So I'm just gonna break this. I don't wanna fully take this out. And now I'm gonna go down to the bottom one here, which you can feel out with your finger. It's just down here. Stick this bad boy in there, perfect. And break this. I thought I jinxed myself. Okay. And that's it. Now, once you take this bolt out, I want you to prepare, because what we're gonna do is, this obviously has a brake line that's connected to this, and I'm just gonna double check. I believe the brake wear sensor is on this side. I should be able to see here, actually. It doesn't look like it is on this side, so it might be on the driver's side for this vehicle. And what I'm gonna do is, we're gonna use the suspension up here, zip tie this, because we do not want pressure on the brake line. That is very important. We don't want pressure on the brake line. So there we go. I removed the first bolt, and now I'm gonna go get a zip tie, because when I remove this, this is gonna go up here. Okay, so now I'm gonna release this top one. There we go. Okay, so this is loosened now. The other thing you could do, by the way, is also remove the brake pads from here. And then we're gonna use the caliper pressing tool, the compressing tool, to take this out. But right now, actually, I'm just gonna take this pin out here like this. Okay, that's done. The caliper should come out. You know what? Sometimes you need to pry it a little bit. So I'm just gonna use actually one of the pins here just to give it a little, you know, a little movement. Okay, so yeah, it just needs some wiggling. Okay, so now this has just started to wiggle off. There we go. It's released. There you go. That's simple. So again, we don't want to put too much pressure on any of the brake line here. So I'm just going to turn this around so you can see kind of what's in here. So here you can see the pads. So the pads will just literally plop out now. So I'm just going to hold this with one hand. There's the first pad out. Second pad out. Third pad, well, that came out by itself, and then the fourth pad. So you have 4 pads here. Now again, since I want to be very careful with this, I am just going to put this up here. I'm just going to hold it for a second here, and I'm going to get a zip tie and zip tie this. So we zip tied the caliper up here. You can see that. We're going to compress those calipers in a bit. I wanted to show you the brakes. So again, they had some thickness left, but you know, I wanted to replace them all right now, so got that done. The rotor was at minimum thickness levels, so this needs to get changed out. The first thing we're going to do to actually remove the rotor is there's a Torx bit here that we're just going to screw out, and this rotor just comes out. So it is a T30. Let's get a T30 out, pop that in here, and this should easily come out. So don't strip this bolt to make sure you don't strip this bolt. Oh my god, that would be a nightmare. But that'll just come out like so. Take it out by hand. And now, depending on the rotor, it could be a little bit seized onto the hub. So in this case it is. So look, I'm not using this rotor again. So I'm just gonna give it a nice smack with this because this rotor's finished. Okay, well, I had to step back and really hammer at it, so we turned the camera off, but look, it just started hanging there, so pull that off. So you could see, yeah, there's a lot of rust here. We're gonna have to clean this up with a wire brush before we put on the new rotor, so clean this entire area up, and then we're gonna be good. So we just cleaned this hub up, so that's all good, so it's gonna be ready for the new rotor, but before we do that, while the caliper is up here, what we're gonna do is now use the piston compression tool. So this again, all this is gonna do is squeeze into here. This is gonna compress, and what we're gonna do is just ratchet it like this, and it's gonna start compressing the pistons, because these pistons right in here, they need to compress back into the caliper. Now, the other thing I am gonna say is when we do this for each wheel, I'm gonna go back into the vehicle, pump the brakes after this is all done, just to make sure that the fluid doesn't go over into the reservoir and start leaking out of the reservoir. Because these calipers actually use up a whole bunch of brake fluid. So once we compress these back, put everything together, we're gonna pump the brakes after each wheel, but I do wanna say that. So I'm just gonna go ahead, put this in here. Okay, so look, I'm gonna use this tool, which is gonna ratchet these pistons, but also look, honestly, you can see my finger here, these are the pistons. If I wanted to, I could just hand push these in, right? And you know what, actually, like you could literally just hand push these in. Look how easy that is. So you wanna do it all together ideally. So that's how you would do it with your hands. Now, if you did it with the tool, it's actually easier because look, all of the pistons are gonna retract at the same time. So just like that, you can see, now it's covering all of the pistons and they are compressing down. This is going to put the fluid back into the reservoir and get the caliper ready. I'm gonna turn that now back to the opposite way to just remove this from the caliper, and you can see these obviously popped because I wasn't able to get those, so I'm just going to go to this side and remove that as well. So here are the OEM SHW rotors. You're going to notice you have to obviously align the pin that we took out, or that Torx, to this, and it's just going to slot in right there. Align it to that. If you wanted, also you could put some anti-seize on the hub here. Some people like to do that, or you just put this on and then put that little bolt in here, the Torx, and you are good to go. And that is a beautiful new rotor. Now, here is my secret tip for these rotors. Audi was going to charge me, get this, 1,500 Canadian dollars for each one of these rotors. Okay, that's $6,000 of rotors. Look on eBay. This was OEM from SHW in the box, everything. I got all 4 of them, all 4 for $2,700 shipped. What a deal. SHW, beautiful. They look great. We're gonna put this on. Then we're gonna put those hawk ceramics inside of the calipers. Okay, so calipers compressed. We took off the zip ties. Now we're just gonna place it back onto the new rotor. Okay, so you can see that fits pretty decently well. And we're gonna have to obviously make room and make sure that the brake pads have the room that they need. And we're gonna be good to go. So I'm just putting the top bolt back in, just hand tightening it for now. I just want it in there to hold the caliper for me. Okay, so I haven't tightened up the bolts of the caliper yet, just because I want to slot in the brake pads. So here are the Hawk ceramics. This is what I'm going to be using. They also come with the little grease pack, which I highly recommend you use. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of grease on these sides of the shims here, and then we're going to just apply some grease on the back, okay? Not too much, just a little bit. Just coat it with it. That's all you need. Then all this will do is slot into the upper and lower parts right like this. So that's all that's gonna happen here. They're just gonna slot in like that, and you're gonna be good to go. So let's grease these. So look, honestly, just a light coating of the grease, if anything, actually. I probably put a little bit too much, but that's okay. And all this will do, especially just, again, these sides here, all we're gonna do is stick them just like that. Look at that, it just popped in like a doozy. All right, pop in the other side. Okay, so now I'm actually gonna tighten the caliper fully down. So what you wanna do here is make sure you torque this to 70 foot-pounds. So I have this torque wrench, we're gonna torque it, and we just wait to hear the click, and then we're gonna be good to go. There we go, click. There we go. So now what we're gonna do is put the retaining brackets back on here, and the pins are gonna go from the rear and come through. So you're gonna notice, like, look, there's obviously a little gap here for them. They're just gonna go like that. So we're gonna put these in, punch them back in, and then we're good to go. That's the front brakes. So you can see I almost just did it by hand there. Then the other one will get in there as well. All right, so the rears are a little bit more complicated because you obviously have the parking brake right over here. But this is basically the same. You're gonna, again, punch out the pins. The pins are here. They're gonna punch out from this way. Now, by the way, on the parking brake, you're gonna have these pins, but they actually punch out not from here. You gotta punch them out from the rear, and they come out this way. So you gotta punch these pins out this way, punch these pins through this way like you did on the front of the vehicle. So actually what we're gonna do first is remove these pins from here, then we're gonna remove the caliper from the rotor. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead, and this is a little bit tough because, again, you're doing it from the rear, so it's just a little bit more awkward. And ideally you're working with a light. I'm not working with so much light right now, which is a little bit of a disadvantage. Okay, so I just needed a smaller punch, by the way. I'm a noob, so my bad. I should have told you guys that, but here, smaller punch. Look at that, comes out like nothing. Okay, you just want to take it out like that, and then we're gonna pull it out by our hands. Again, looks like the gods have been nice to me. Nothing is seized, and these things are coming out like they're oiled. Look at that. Okay. And look, the brake pads will literally just, they basically slide out, but just like that. And I'm not replacing these pads, by the way, because they're still great. So no need to replace them. Just take them out. Yeah, they're good. No need. And now we're gonna go ahead and take the 18 or 16 mil and undo this caliper. Okay, that broke. Pretty easy. And the other one, there's 2 of them. You'll find them. The other one's just down here. Okay, and that's out. And your caliper just kind of goes down to the floor, just like that. Okay, that's it. All right, so now we're gonna get back to punching these pins out. So again, pretty simple. I'm just gonna go with a little bit of a thinner punch for this one. The same thin one I had, any punch is gonna work, it's fine. And we're gonna punch through. Okay, and here's a little tip. The springs that are back here, you're gonna wanna press down on them to release the pin. So I'm pressing down on the spring to release the pin, and it's gonna come out with your hand, just like that. But just be careful, again, that spring is a little loaded. You know what I'm talking about, that spring that's holding the brake pad I showed you earlier. That's good, and then literally it just comes off like this. This is the spring, right? You wanna just push down and relieve the pressure. The pins will just come right out. And unlike the fronts, the pins go through the pads here. So just to know that, they do go through the pads. So once that's out, you're basically good to go. And now what you're gonna be using is this. This is a M14 socket. Look at this. I'm gonna link this in the description box down below. It's kind of a unique piece. 12-point Torx type socket. You need this for the rear. So look, I picked it up from Amazon. I will send the link, but these will go right in here to remove both of these bolts. Oh, these are doozies. Okay, so this is tough. I might need a bigger bar. So yeah, I had to use my big boy rod here to break this. It was on really tight, and I put some WD-40 on it. Didn't really help, so you just kind of had to work it a bit. And now it's coming off. So there we go. We loosened it enough. The rear bottom one still. There we go. All right, and similarly, at this point now, you could probably remove the pad. So this pad also has a brake wear sensor, which I'm gonna show you how to remove as well. So we're gonna go ahead, see if this pad will come out. All right, so now I'm just gonna take off the top screw. I just took off the bottom. Just get this off here. And once we take off the caliper, the pads are just gonna slide right out. And then we're gonna take out that brake sensor as well. And just again, make sure you hang this up somewhere. Either use zip ties or clips or whatever else you got. Now, just like the front, this will need some massaging. All right, so it's coming off. Okay, there's one pad out. And then the other pad, I'm gonna take out as well. There we go, and then we have this, of course. So I'm just gonna remove, see this pad has that brake line there, which we're gonna remove. And I'm just gonna zip tie this over to the side here. And then now we have access to this. What we're gonna do is take that T30 to remove this, put on the new rotor, but let's put this up. Okay, so this part is the hardest thing to remove. And what you have to remember is you have to turn it 90 degrees. So look, this was it. This was connected here. I took this off. This is the brake sensor wire. Okay, this was in like this. Took it off, there's a clip here. You just unclip that, take it off. Then for this part, which is connected to the brake pad, what you need to do is turn it 90 degrees, like this, use some pliers or your hands, and then, once it's at 90 degrees, exactly, it'll come out. So let me turn that, 90 degrees, there, and now it's just gonna come out. There we go. Okay, so once the brake clip is off, you're gonna take out the old rotor, really simple. Again, put the new rotor on here, the T30 bit, put that on, you're gonna be good. Now we're gonna go ahead and actually leave the caliper up here. We're gonna go into the e-brake. And this is the one that is gonna use that special tools, and so we're gonna walk through this together. This is gonna be easy with the right tool. So this is the parking brake, and what you wanna do is with that kit, I'm gonna have the kit right here, and this is the right adapter into that kit. This was adapter A, by the way, in case you want to know. So this will go here. You see the 2 pins there, 2 pins here, come like this. And what you're gonna do is make sure that these pins mate. So make sure that they mate properly. Perfect. And you're gonna turn this clockwise. So clockwise is gonna retract in the piston. And you don't need to honestly do it too much because my brakes here were not that bad. And that's good, it's retracted. So that's it. See, with the right tools, it's super simple and easy. Now this is gonna slot back in over here with the e-brake brakes, and then we're done for the e-brake. So I'm gonna be putting the e-brake back on with the same bolts. Honestly, it's super simple. Just put them back in here. Not rocket science, you've done this, and you're just gonna do it again. So you can see the orientation of the bracket, right? You can see that here. The pins go through the brake pads, and I put the pins in from the front this time. Remember, we removed them out like this, so they're all good. And finally, don't forget to tighten these to 70 pound-feet with your torque wrench, okay? Get that done, hit the click, and then we're gonna work on the main caliper back here. Okay, so it's really simple. After this, you put this in here. Now, if you don't have for your new pads, like I don't, for my Hawk pads, they don't come with the brake sensor wire, only the fronts do, that's fine. I just went ahead and put the brake sensor wire, tucked it in where it belongs, and it's holding there just fine. And now again, you're just gonna grease this up, slot these in, tie these down, put the pins back, and you're done. So that's really it. Okay, so you're gonna tighten these again to 70 pound-feet of torque, so lock those out. Now what we're gonna be doing is again, putting in this bracket here like this, and just remember on the rear that the pins go through the brake pads, okay? Pins go through the brake pads, they go over this on here, and then you're gonna put a little bit of pressure to put the pins through, and the pins will come from the rear. So you're gonna put the pins in from the rear and they'll come back out. So that's it. That's how you change the brakes and rotors on your Audi R8 or RS4 or other cars that have these Brembo brakes. Honestly, it's really simple and easy. Again, you'll find everything in the description box down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram for the behind the scenes look of all of this. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment box down below. But honestly, very simple and easy. You could do this yourself and save thousands of dollars. This is the easiest thing that you can do. And for what is a supercar, it really is just regular maintenance like in any other car. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one.